fighter has the highest fight IQ?
I don't think there's nobody in the game that has the fight IQ that I have.
Off the charts.
His IQ
the
is
highest
insane.
fight IQ maybe ever.
This guy hits hard. He's tough. He's this, he's that. And this guy has a dream. But my fight IQ will win this fight.
Welcome to the Fight IQ podcast. We're back with another episode of Post-Fight Perspective for UFC 310 Pantoja versus Asakura. I thought overall this was a really great card. Let's start out with the first fight, Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Lucas Brzeski. I was really impressed with Kennedy. Super crisp boxing. He was kind of letting Lucas have a couple moments in the beginning there, but Kennedy rocked him and put him out with a beautiful right hook. His left hand defensively was in the perfect place. His range and angle were perfect so that Brzeski, even though he was kind of thrown at the same time, he was out of range, but Kennedy was in range. And it just clipped him right on the chin and puts him down, follows up with a few finishing shots, and that was pretty much that. Beautiful knockout for Kennedy.
Yeah, it was definitely a sick one, man. Kennedy's one of those guys that just knows how to use his weapons well, and I feel like if you just keep feeding him these fat heavyweights that should be in other divisions that are just out of shape, fat people, then I feel like he can march through all those guys. You're gonna need like a legitimate skill set to beat Kennedy at this point, and all these fights and all this experience he's getting is gonna help him out and help him start pushing towards the top 15 here pretty soon. Because you can't just people out and then not get anything cool.
I'm honestly in that boat where I think we could start giving him somebody like an Alexander Romanov, right? Somebody that's in that. I think he's. What was that?
They just let Romanov go.
Did they let him go?
Yeah,
okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, that would have been a great one then to get him up there.
Yeah, but I do think he should get someone who was in that position where you're on the edge of the top 15 sort of deal. And I agree with you, Martin. I think he buzzes right through all of the fat, unathletic heavyweights and gets right to the top 10 pretty easily. But maybe they'll give him one more. This was a short notice fight, so maybe they'll give him one more before a ranked fighter. Who knows?
Yeah.
Up to the next fight, Clay Guida versus Chase Hooper. And I gotta say, I did kind of call this in the predictions video. I thought these were going to be very mismatched, and they ended up being very, very mismatched. But Clay Guida versus Chase Hooper, beautiful performance by Chase as well here.
Yeah, he's been really looking good at lightweight. He's definitely gotten a lot stronger. You can tell that he puts on a lot more muscle being at this weight. And that's reflected in the way that he's able to kind of get these submissions. Even on the feet, he just looks much better at this weight class.
Yeah, he was clipping Guida at first, and to the point where Guida decided to wrestle with Chase, which is the dumbest thing he could have done.
100%.
Yeah.
Really clean armbar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Hooper's just on fire right now. He's really growing into himself as a fighter. His body is able to really back up his skill set now, because before you could tell he was just really weak and frail when he was a little bit smaller than everybody else in the division. But I think at the end of the day, Chase Hooper's in store for a lot of really fun matchups, and it's going to be exciting to see where he goes from here.
Yeah, and honestly, dude, with how tall Chase is, and it looks like he's starting to fill in his frame, I wouldn't be surprised if he finished up his career at 170. Obviously, eventually, he's 25 years old, but I think his frame could support a good 170-pound build. But anyway, Michael Chiesa had a good performance. 2 wins in a row for Michael Chiesa.
Love it. Really nice rear naked choke. I mean, it's Max Griffin.
Yeah.
Let's get him out of there.
Yeah, we kind of called it perfectly that it'd be a pretty interesting, boring decision, and then maybe with a chance of a submission, and he did find that submission in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
So great performance by Chiesa. Honestly, who cares what happens next, but maybe he'll get another fun fight.
Yeah, he was talking on the mic about making another run. He's like, fuck it, why not make another run? Life is short. I still feel good. I still feel like I could do, Subbing Max
Griffin win is crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I'm sure it feels good, but yeah. Up next, this fight was great. Cody Durden versus Joshua Van.
Come on now.
I think, Andrew, you were the only one to pick Van here?
I was the only one to pick Van here.
Yeah.
I think y'all both were saying that Cody Durden was likely going to be a little bit too big for him, and the boxing was just different levels.
Yeah.
Durden got really tired after that first round. I know he had a really good first round, but then 2 and 3, Joshua Van just kind of ran away with it.
Yeah, even the end of round 1 was like more competitive. You could see like Cody Durden was like almost gassed by the end of round 1, basically. And he came in with a super wrestling heavy approach. He came in and was landing some actually really nice jabs. Cody Durden's like surprisingly long armed for the division and for his height.
Mm-hmm.
So he was getting through with some nice jabs, and then just went straight wrestle heavy and just completely gassed himself out, which credit to him because he still made it through the fight, even though he was getting boxed up by Van for 2 rounds pretty much.
Yeah, Van's always had like amazing boxing, and he's always really entertaining to watch. I think if Durden would have had a little bit more in the gas tank, he probably could have secured 2 rounds, but he didn't even make it close to having enough for 2 rounds to go with that game plan. So it might have been him going down to a new weight class, but really good on Joshua Van to, get a good win and to really grit one out, because that first round, it was looking pretty tough. And then Durden blew his load there trying to fucking get the finish in the first round.
Yeah, he did. I mean, it was like he got a couple good takedowns in the beginning of the first round, and then by the end of the first round, he had nothing left to even get the takedowns. You know what I mean? And that being said, Van has good takedown defense because Cody Durden is a very strong wrestler.
Yeah.
But up the card, Chris Weidman versus Eric Anders.
Your boy.
Hey.
Yeah, dude, your boy. Like, who would have thought this would have been a fun one to watch? If you would have told me a week ago that Chris Weidman and your boy Anders would have had one of the most entertaining fights on a pay-per-view card, I would have told you were smoking drugs, dude.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we were excited when this fight was initially canceled, and now kind of happy it happened. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. Chris Weidman, great first round, drops Eric Anders, completely botches the finish. His fight IQ is not the greatest.
No.
Fumbled that finish.
Yeah, completely fumbled. Eric Anders, man, to have the conditioning to get dropped though, and then come back and have a round 2 like he did and finish him in round 2 is actually kind of impressive. Not like regardless of opponent, regardless of anything, performance, whatever. Like if you get dropped and then you still have the energy to recover and finish your opponent, I'm impressed by that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I think too, the most hilarious part was how lukewarm the ground and pound was for about 4 minutes of the fucking second round. Or was it the third round? Was it the third round where he got it was the second?
Second.
I just remember Weidman like getting the most lukewarm ground and pound, just eating shots straight in the face.
Yeah.
And for like 4 minutes and 30 seconds, and the ref like calling it like at the very end, and he's like, "Why'd you stop it, ref?" And it's like, bro, you just ate like 300 punches to the face.
Yeah.
Off the back. Not doing shit, and then you're getting mad at me for stopping it.
Yeah,
Fucking
absolutely
hilarious.
Insane. But it was kind of funny watching, like at first when Eric Anders got him to the ground in the second round, those punches had nothing behind them, and I was yelling the entire time, "Get past the legs! Your ground and pound it has no strength if he's holding you back with his legs," and he just refused to get past the legs. He was like, just fucking sitting behind in like butterfly guard, basically, like trying to fucking reach and hammer fist. But eventually he got past and got it done. But
it was a hilarious fight to watch. Honestly, karma for Chris Weidman. It was happy.
Yep.
I did enjoy to see. Yeah, we all got this one right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Randy Brown versus Brian Battle. Personally, I rewatched this one this morning, and it's not as bad of a fight as like the crowd booing would lead you to believe. I thought this was actually a good fight. Randy Brown had a really, really good first round, was landing really, really good kickboxing from distance, really good long straight shots. And then in round 2, Brian Battle picked it up and was absolutely demolishing him in the clinch. He had really, really brutal knees in the clinch, elbows, body shots in the clinch. And then they got out to kind of a clinch situation in the middle of the cage, and Brian actually rocked him with a knee to the head for like a split second. And then they were both gassed in round 3, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad fight. It was one of those fights that I think going into it, both guys had a lot more hype than this fight would lead you to believe. Like, as far as both of them are concerned, this was probably, you know, an underwhelming performance for what they're both capable of. But I do think in the end it was fine.
Yeah, I think it was more par for the course for Randy Brown. But we're definitely with Battle. We're definitely used to more pressure.
Yeah. And obviously missing weight by 4 pounds is a rough one. We can't let that go.
Yeah, he was saying it was just too quick of a turnaround for him for 170.
Yeah,
because he is kind of big for 170. So
he doesn't look like it though. He
No,
looks real weird at 170.
I know, but especially compared to Randy Brown, because Randy Brown's really tall for the division. I think he's like 6'3".
Yeah.
But Brian Battle's just, a little bigger. He carries a little more weight. But yeah.
Not the most exciting performance, but he did what he had to do to win.
Yeah.
Watching it live, I remember rounds 2 and 3 were pretty. It could have gone either way for Battle. I knew it was going to be a split decision.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those fights where it's like, and it could go either way, and you really can't go robbery either way because there was things that Randy Brown could have done a little bit better, and there was a lot more activity that we could have saw from Brian Battle. More of his stuff was like clinch work and like just making the fight dirty. But I think at the end of the day, I'm not too mad about this. Brian Battle moves up the division, and Randy Brown really doesn't lose too much stock. So,
yeah, I agree. And I did think it was a lot closer live, but upon rewatching it back, Brian Battle did clearly win round 2, and I would have honestly been a little bit surprised, but not upset if they gave it to Randy Brown.
Yeah.
Movsar Evloev versus Aljamain Sterling. A pretty good fight if you appreciate wrestling.
It was.
If you appreciate the grappling aspect of MMA, it was a good fight. Aljo, I think, was landed six takedowns on 8 attempts. I was looking up the stats this morning. 6 takedowns on 8 attempts, and Movsar landed 4 takedowns on 5 attempts. So higher percentage of takedowns landed for Evloev. 2 more takedowns landed for Aljamain, but I mean the strike differential was just crazy.
Yeah, 136 to 45.
Yeah, and it's not like Movsar had a crazy amount of power behind him, but that's a huge difference in strikes.
It's the difference between just controlling position and holding rather than when you're in those advantageous positions on the ground if you're throwing punches or not. Mm-hmm. Like even if it's just those little punches that have nothing on them to the body, punch in the thigh, sneaking like little punches on the ear, you're still scoring points.
Yeah.
And Aljo really doesn't do that so much. So that's where he kind of lost that number advantage.
Yeah, it's definitely unfortunately Aljamain should add some ground and pound to his style. I know he is very good at backpacking and submitting and all that sorts of stuff. But he really should consider ground and pound, because I think he's good at scrambling. He's good at recovering position. Like a lot of these guys who get to position and maybe they're not so confident that they can keep it, they'll be afraid to strike because as soon as they go to strike, it gives their opponent an opportunity to get out. But Aljamain Sterling is so good at recovering position. But Evloev here is also really good at that. So I think he was nervous about losing position by throwing strikes.
Yeah. I think Aljamain Sterling is unfortunately one of those guys too that is caught in that loop of training the things he's already good at and skipping the things that maybe he's not so good at.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And he needs to be one of those that we know you know how to wrestle, we know back retention, maybe go do some striking, maybe go do some ground and pound work. Even out your game a little bit. You're already good at it. You know enough.
Yeah.
Try something else.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I agree with the decision though. Evloev won.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Vicente Luque is back, boys. He is back. And Martin called this one perfectly, dude. In the predictions video, Martin was like, man, what happened to Vicente Luque? He used to be coming out there throwing hook low kick and Darson motherfuckers. And that's literally what he did.
It's literally exactly what happened, and none of us saw it coming. We all went with the explosive Themba Garimbo.
No, I went with Luque.
I'm sorry. Ryan had faith.
Yeah.
I was really just judging his past performances, and it's very rare to see a fighter kind of have a resurgence performance like that once they're going downhill. It's not like we would see Chris Weidman ever have good performances after his loss to Luke Rockhold, or when a very dominant fighter gets finished multiple times in a row. Like Tony Ferguson never had a great performance after losing to Justin Gaethje.
Right.
After they get beat down super bad, it's really hard to see people come back and have success like that. So the fact that Luque came out there, immediately caught him, and then hit that sub that we love to see.
Yeah.
Like rolled him around, dude, and then unconscious, within moments.
Yeah.
It was great to see.
Yeah. Honestly, more jujitsu guys need to watch this fight. And it's like, dude, if you hurt a guy, jump straight on a submission. Because there are we see people fall in love with punching guys. And it's like, bro, if you're a jiu-jitsu guy and you have someone hurt in front of you, just fucking choke him out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, this
thing,
alone, dude, Vicente Luque winning, this already is my favorite card of the year. That was enough for me. And with this next fight too. Dominic Reyes.
God damn it. I mean,
are we about to talk about Doofu Choi right now?
No, Dominic Reyes versus Anthony Smith.
You can't skip over our favorite fighter, Anthony Smith.
Yeah.
Anthony Smith showed his signature move in this fight.
Yeah.
He did.
The move that he does every single fight, where he's just in the fetal position holding on to something, like
I believe it's the
leg.
The lion heart cuddle.
The lion heart desperate leg grab.
Goodness. I mean, Dominic Reyes really just made him look bad. It was one of those where, Dominic Reyes didn't look like the Dominic Reyes that I think we've seen in the past. Because there were situations where Anthony Smith was getting the better of him in the stand-up game, which was a little tough to see. But, ultimately got it done, overpowered him, and got him stuck against the cage there. And then looks like every Anthony Smith fight, Glover Teixeira kind of over the top of him, just hammering down, and eventually you get the stoppage on that. And then we get to see the stoppage of his career. I think that was it, boys.
I sure hope so, man. And listen, I appreciate what Anthony Smith has done. He's been able to stay at the top, I don't know how he's done it. But, time has come and gone. It was weird because I'm pretty sure Smith, he got cut he had a stint in the UFC, got cut, and then got brought back, didn't he?
Yeah. And then he ran through a bunch of old guys. He beat up Rashad Evans, Shogun. Just knocking out all these old guys real quick. And then
yeah. Oh well.
I'm not
I bid you farewell, Anthony Smith.
Yeah, man. But, no hate but no love either.
Happy for Dominic Reyes though. He came out throwing kicks, throwing straight lefts.
He was having trouble from open stance, I think. A lot of open stance fights tonight, but I think it was that range difference when you're fighting with your power hands so far away. And then Anthony Smith was kind of doing the right things to shut that down. Yeah. And then eventually he just kind of realizes I'm just going to get my ass beat again. So I'm going to he dropped his hands and told him, hit me in the face.
Yeah, but it started with the body kick for Dominic Reyes because you're right. With the open stance, he was kind of a little weary of throwing the left hand, couldn't really find the exact range. And then he was like, oh, wait, I'm in kicking range. Started throwing kicks to the body of Anthony Smith, and then the hands opened up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was good.
And then he gave up.
And then Anthony Smith just straight gave up. Has there ever been a less befitting nickname?
Dude, and then another one where they just let him get his ass beat for 4 minutes of the round, and right at the last second they're all right, everybody, let's stop this now.
Yeah, whatever, man. We'll see what they give Dominic Reyes next. He's still in the top 15, so he could get a good fight. Nate Landwehr versus Dooho Choi.
Is this Martin's fight of the night?
This is my fight of the night, easy. I wanted to believe in Do Hoo Choi during the predictions video. I saw exactly what happened before. Like it's almost like I had a crystal ball in front of me. I just saw Do Hoo Choi landing everything he wanted to throw against somebody that had the defensive skills like Nate Landwehr. He found that uppercut really early, like within the first 15 seconds, and he's like, "Oh, this is what I got to do to, land on you." Because Nate would have his hands out like this, and Do Hoo Choi would find the uppercut right up the middle. And then once he started doing that, he would land his overhand over the top to bring his arms out more and to open up the uppercut even more. And then once he started worrying about the hands too much, he would throw that leg kick. And every single time he threw that leg kick, it would throw him off balance. Then in the second and third round, he just dominated him in the wrestling before getting the finish with the crucifix ground and pound.
Yeah.
Beautiful, too. Even had his back at one point at the end of round one. Like, Do Hoo Choi, like, this actually, like, if we do a video in the future of, like, masterclass performances, this has got to be in there somewhere. I was actually, like, just watching this fight just going, wow, this is beautiful. Really impressive. It was like art to look
Rolling
at.
the punches.
Bro, I was like, holy shit, he's rolling so slowly too. He's just like, it's like he's in the Matrix. He's just like fucking sees everything coming. Everything's in slow motion. He's like, all right, fucking move out of the way. Pop, pop. It's fucking amazing.
That was the fight of the night that I was happy to have gotten wrong, for sure.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, for sure.
But you know which one I was happy to get right?
Whoo-wee.
Bryce Mitchell versus Cron Gracie.
Thank
Goodness.
the Lord.
Bryce, I mean, that was my favorite finish of the night. It's not even close.
Yeah.
You love to see a guard puller get dropped.
Yeah. Love it. I mean, dude, it was like beyond guard pulling. He was like fucking Cron Gracie. You would think him and Bryce Mitchell were going on honeymoon. He was just fucking jumping into his arms and like, carry me, baby. Nah, bitch.
Dude. Man, after watching like how lame the first round was that in the third that he got the finish, that slam finish, like the beginning of the third? Yeah. So I remember after the first two rounds, I was so fed up with that fight. I was annoyed. I was like, dude, this is fucking terrible. Because it just killed all the momentum the first two rounds after that Do Hoo Choi fight. Yeah. And then you get the second he goes to pull guard, like within 15 seconds of the third round, I was just like, all right, motherfucker. It was so hilarious to see. The two elbows after the slam were awesome.
Super necessary.
It looks like he broke his
arm. They were
too.
Necessary.
And I honestly think that was really good to save the momentum of the card because I remember after that I was just so hyped. I had so much energy.
And referee performance of the night by Keith Peterson. He stepped in at the perfect moment, and it did look like Cron Gracie's arm got snapped in the slam as well, and Keith Peterson just like floated right over it.
Dude, what happened to Keith Peterson, man? He's deflated.
Yeah, can we talk about Keith Peterson for a second?
As we see it.
It looks like he's shrinking, man. I can't tell what's going on, but he looks like all of his clothes are 4 sizes too big now.
He's gunning for that Hasbulla fight is what he's doing.
Dude, he's turning into Hasbulla.
He's slowly morphing into Hasbulla.
He's like those old... where that girl is deflated in the chair next to her dog, and she's like, "This is what I'm like." That's what Keith Peterson is, but it's alcohol and cigarettes.
Yeah. He's exponentially losing mass every month.
I hope he's okay. Like I hope.
I hope he's okay.
I do too.
I hope he doesn't, have like something serious going on. But like over the past 2 cards, he's lost like 70 pounds.
I know, dude. All right. Shout out to you, Keith Peterson. I hope you're doing all right.
Yeah, man.
Okay. Up the card. I don't know why the UFC website's weird. It's just got like enlarged pictures of Volkov and Gane.
Larger than life, man.
But that was the next fight up the card.
I'm so pissed. I'm so upset.
Volkov. Yeah, and if you're following Verdict MMA and you do the live scoring on Verdict MMA, you could see that they said that. And look, we're on second to the last card of the year, and they said this was the biggest, judging mistake by the verdict scorecards. This was the biggest judging mistake of the entire year.
Based off the sample size.
Yeah, And, you know, say what you will about fans scoring the fights. It's a large sample size. And, like, what? Do we trust the boxing judges to judge an MMA fight more than people who have been watching and into the sport for a lot of people over a decade? Like, I don't know. To us, this was clear rounds 2 and 3 for Volkov, right?
Yeah, you could even make an argument for round 1, too, if you really wanted to. But at least 2 and 3 for Volkov, easy. Gon just held onto a Kimura from bottom position for like half the third round, and then lost the rest of that pretty clearly. And then on top of that, Volkov was landing the better strikes, shut him down, landing nice kicks to the body. He landed that sick back fist. Yeah. And Dana White even said immediately that he thought that Volkov won. So
yeah, and look, he was. If you look at the stats, I thought it was kind of weird because it says that Volkov was down on strikes, like by the stats, but we all know that Ciryl Gane is a point fighting striker, essentially.
Yeah.
And really, Volkov, when he was hitting Gane, it was clear that it was doing damage. And I mean, maybe he wasn't showing it the most on his face, but like you can tell when you're watching a fight whose punches are landing harder. And plus the grappling advantage for Volkov.
And that was pretty significant. I mean, Ciryl Gane was playing defensive bottom guard for half of it, going for the weird Kimura attempts. I think he even had a guillotine attempt that wasn't really there.
Yeah.
You know, it was just one of those things where it was a clear misjudging. And I believe it was Adelaide Bird who has consistently been a questionable judge throughout her career. So I can't say I'm that shocked, but it's a big bummer.
Yeah.
I'm tired of this, you know. Because what ends up happening is these fighters that have like no aura and like that just fuck up the division end up like squeaking these bullshit wins by, like Juliana Pena just squeaking a bullshit win by, and it fucks up the division for a while. Like we can have some like really cool rematches with Volkov. Yeah, he's really earned it. He won the fight. So
and it is kind of fucked up. Like it's not just a bad judging decision and this guy fucking won, this guy lost. Like. Dude, that's on their record forever. And when you're talking about a guy like Volkov who's been in the UFC for a long time, he's won, he's lost, but now he's kind of on this resurgence. Like, if you fucking up this scoring and saying that Gane won the fight is like legitimately ruining Volkov's career. Unless on the UFC part, you're just like, honestly, that one was so blatant. Like, fuck that. Volkov is getting the title shot or whatever it is, you know?
They've done that before.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which I hope they do right by Volkov. Patty the comradey Volkov.
Yeah, dude. Patty the comradey, man. The cornrows and to lose, that sucks, man. Yeah. I think they should give him a favorable matchup, and then they should give Gane like a fucking Jailton Almeida or something like that, you know?
They should,
somebody that's really durable that can wrestle. It's like, all right, dude,
send it back.
They should, dude.
They should give like either Marcin Tybura, because Marcin Tybura has been killing it too.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah. I know they both fought. I think Marcin Tybura has fought Volkov before, but I don't know about Gane.
Yeah. Man, either way, kind of sad to see, but whatever. Up the card, co-main event: Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Ian Gary. Excuse me.
Dude, I swear, I think I almost fell asleep on this one. We were sitting there watching this, and I think I fell asleep for like the second and third round. It was kind of what we thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. You know, there was the potential for that to have been a really boring fight. They know how the other person's going to be. They've trained together. They kind of knew the game plan. I'm sure it's fine.
Listen, they like started to pick it up a little bit in the last round.
I think the fourth.
In the fourth, they started to pick it up a little bit. Man, just a lot of fence pressing. Yeah. And Rakhmonov was landing more in the clinch. But it was a pretty freaking even fight. It was
very low volume from both people.
Yeah.
Like Ian threw a lot of kicks, but Shavkat just landed a couple big shots.
Yeah, Ian was wearing more damage on his face after the fight. He had some cuts, and Shavkat looked pretty untouched.
Yeah. I mean, I think the largest significant moment of the fight was that almost rear naked choke from Gary. I think that was in the 5th round. I think it was the closest moment to a finish that we saw in the fight.
Yeah.
But coming at the end of the 5th after not doing much for 4 rounds, it's one of those things where it's tough to come back from that.
Yeah. Man, I mean, Gary was up on total strikes like quite a bit. 102 to 65. We got 2 takedowns for Shavkat, 1 takedown for Gary, 2 sub attempts from Gary, and none from Shavkat. Shavkat did reverse him at one point and had some decent control time. And then strikes at distance, like, so significant strikes, what they call a significant strike, is really just qualified as any strike from distance. It's a really weird qualification for calling it a significant strike, but that's the criteria for it. So strikes at distance were, when they were on the feet, that was the most even part of the fight. Ian Gary outlanded him 42 to 37, which is like pretty negligible, but like super even with strikes at distance. I'm not upset with the decision though.
Me neither.
You know, realistically, like, I think both of them are very good fighters. They nullified each other a little bit. It was kind of a sparring match because they had trained together so much. Like, sometimes when you get guys that have trained together, it's either a barn burner because one guy really thinks he has the edge, or you get like that where they just fall into a sparring match as if they're in the gym.
Yeah. So you get this, or you get TJ versus Cody Dillashaw or Cody Garbrandt. Those are the 2 outcomes. Yeah. And we didn't get that one.
No, we didn't. But we got a great fight in our main event. I know you're. Listen. I know it's not like the aftermath of it is not great. Yeah. None of us are happy about the aftermath. But listen, Kai Asakura had nothing for Pantoja, dude. Absolutely.
Dude, he almost we did rewatching some of the highlights. There was a couple flying knees that legit hit like his chest.
Yeah.
And if they went like the first one he threw that hit his chest, that could have KO'd him, and we would all be telling a different story. It didn't happen.
Yeah.
And Pantoja, like you said, exactly how it would happen. He gets the back and chokes him in the first 2 rounds.
Yep.
Props for calling that. But I think Kai Asakura probably had some UFC jitters. I think he fought, he fought really well, but he got caught with the left hook and dropped. He really didn't have too much in the grappling defense. He was able to keep Pantoja off for a little bit, but once he got the back, it was quick.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was fighting the hands for a while. He fought the hands once, got the choke off him, and then it got deeper the second time.
Uh-huh.
So I think Kai Asakura is going to be really fun for the division, but this is where the anime starts, like it starts off, he's coming in, he gets his ass whooped. Goku gets beat up by Frieza, comes back, whoops his ass later in the season, So that's what we're going to see. He's going to come out, he's going to flatline 2 people, get the rematch against Pantoja, and he's going to be better, dude.
Nice. I like it. I mean, it limits us for what we do next, but I think we got to give Kai Kara France Pantoja next, and then maybe we give Asakura one of those, 2, 3, 4 kind of guys up in there. I think there's some cool fights to be made, just not for the champ right now.
Yeah, and it's like, even though Asakura lost this fight, he showed that he can be dangerous. I mean, he got completely dominated, but we all know that he does have a very dangerous kickboxing game, and he's very, very athletic, and he's big for the division. I think there are good fights, and I think it livens up. Although I'm talking about the title picture, like the future fights, you're like, oh man, what do we do? Sort of thing. What do we do with Pantoja? Kai Asakura still does bring excitement to the division because we haven't seen him fight any of the top 5 guys. I personally want to see him fight Steve Erceg next.
That's fun.
But yeah, I think we will see Asakura have some decent success in the UFC. I don't know how many fights he signed on for, but that'd be cool if he fought out his contract and we got to see him fight some of the top guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One thing I want to talk about that was really great from Pantoja, and it's always exciting about his fighting style, is how good he throws that hook to kick combination.
Mm-hmm.
He'll start off with the hook low, and he just does it so well. He lands it. He tracks you very well, and then he'll start bringing the hook to the body kick after that. And it sets up the head kick later on, but we never got to that point. But the thing is how accurate with it and how good he is at tracking that kick that follows up the hook.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people can land that, especially off a hook, but he follows people so well because Kai Asakura was doing a great job moving around and staying on the outside for the most part.
Yeah.
But Pantoja was still able to find him and corner him and steer him around with that big kick.
Yeah, and
So
really a good like championship level read because with Pantoja in the past he likes pressuring people and he likes doing it with the boxing mainly. He keeps a high guard, he pressures, he boxes, body shots, head shots. But he knew against Asakura that he couldn't just do that. He had to maybe play a little bit and control him with those kicks. And the hook kick to the body that he started landing in at the end of round 1 and in round 2 was really, really nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That was a post-fight perspective for UFC 310 Pantoja versus Asakura. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you liked the video, and look out for ones in the future. Peace.
Peace.